All right. Well, I didn't really know how we're going to do this. I have not enough time on my hands, but too much things to talk about. But hey, number one, it's your boy, EXP66Stitch. And if you haven't pieced it together, Lilo and Stitch came out at a very interesting time in my life. This is the 2000s era of Disney where we had creativity coming from the writers and the animators and people who were in the project essentially made this whole thing in secret. And when they finished the project, they gave it to the leader or director or whatever it was of Disney in charge of like actually making these movies. And the guy was like, you know what? I don't get this, but I like it. And so began the long journey of Lilo and Stitch, which would become probably one of its most, I guess, serialized properties, right? Because even though you have like Beauty and the Beast products and merchandise out there, I feel like Lilo and Stitch just became the one that actually grew into its own thing with the series, the movie sequels. It almost felt like Disney's response to a Shrek in a weird way. So the question becomes, in the year 2025, when we have been just going through all our previous titles and just regurgitating the same slop, but with real people this time, where do we land with Lilo and Stitch? I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not really a Disney fan. There was a time Tarzan was pretty damn cool. Goddamn Jane. But obviously, you know, you kind of grow up and you start to like appreciate different values. And for me, that that turned into the Japanese anime values. But before that time, there was a really interesting moment where I believe we would actually get together and view just rented VHSs of Disney films and or the latter. And that was kind of a cornerstone of my upbringing to a certain extent. And when this thingy came out, I'm not really sure what happened, but there was just a moment that clicked and things, I guess, felt more acknowledged, right? I come from a very interesting place. Most people wouldn't recommend it, but very early on, there were obvious signs that my neural network was a lot more developed or sophisticated or adapted or whatever you want to put a label on it. So very early, I was able to kind of get grasp of these concepts and kind of critical thinking and ideas. But what I learned throughout that time is that a lot of people aren't looking for different. A lot of people don't want unique. A lot of people don't necessarily want that X factor, that maverick, if you will, because it really distorts their vision of their universe, of their world, of their moment in time. And very early on, one comes to realize that, wow, these actions do things, these consequences happen, and sure enough, you begin to feel alienated. When you enter a room, you understand that certain things might happen, and most likely things will happen. And that is interesting, right? Because we get this little fuzzy alien ball that has been created to become the ultimate life form. So when you send this ultimate life form basically to get exiled, you get a funny little moment where he has this opportunity to learn and grow. If this little alien from a different planet, state, country, whatever, decides that they will open up and learn the culture. But it wasn't until like a lot later that these concepts would actually be formed in my brain. I think it was like a good year or a half ago when I rewatched the animated Lilo and Stitch, and I left that feeling very surprised as how represented the idea of being a hot mess was in this little show from the 2000s. And again, I don't know if that was created because there was all these people that were in the circle, or that were feeling the change of the internet with our current times, or we're just learning to learn the new normal. And with computer generated graphics and animations, they were at a point where their brains were ready to accept the new. So maybe, but at the end of the day, is it better than the original? Because as we all know, there is a new Disney empire, right? We have new values, we have new people in charge of storyboarding and finalizing these products. So what has changed? Number one, I would say that the Nami character probably got the biggest spacking or story upgrade, however you want to portray it. I don't know how people would take the message or the whole ideal, but still, for a kid's film to kind of hit a hard topic such as the child foster care system and what it might mean to let go, right? Or to not be ready to be a parent or an adult, or whatever messages were being presented at that moment. The Nami character definitely did have a more to do in this. And while there are some things that I did actually appreciate, right? They have a cool little reference to how she used to carry rocks underwater to train, and that got my brains already spinning. And if you've seen the film, well, you know where that was going. So there is credit to the storyboarding. They didn't just shove, oh, Nami needs to be this independent character because she needs to be a mother and a father to Lilo right now, which we do get glimpses of, and that is to a balance, because when we talk about parental love and what it means to set aside your life for the sake of this other mind that is being created, you need both. In my humble opinion, you need both. You need that loving, caring energy to assure the mind, the developing mind, that there is a safe place to grow, to show that if they blow up the VHS or VHR, or if they destroy a city by a chance, that there is a falling back to a safe place to relearn, to regrow, to reanalyze. But to the yin to that yang, I also believe there is a need to have that dominant law set of, hey, these are the rules, not necessarily because we want to impose restrictions just to impose them, but because up until we hit these points, we want to ease you towards this, and we want you to know that there are consequences to a negative action. And if there has to be the dominant force to be there, you obviously want that to be paired with a loving, caring factor, which is what a dynamic is all about. So, if we're getting into it and we're putting this Nami character in a situation where she has to be the angry, domineering sister while slowly not being able to give that caring, feminine, motherly vibe. We have a quote from Lilo where she goes, "I like you better as a sister than when you're trying to be a mother." Because when she is a mother, it is her like reprimensive attitude of, oh, you did this wrong, and this wrong, which is again very dad like. But you have to assume that when we do these dad like actions, it's because that rage comes from a fear of not being able to protect this tiny brain if they go too far from the boundaries. Wherever the light touches is our kingdom. That is the safe place where which we can grow. But putting all of that onto the shoulders of a, what is she, like a college student, is a bit difficult. And to her credit, we're actually having a story of how Nami is doing her best to make this work, even though she is clearly in over her head. She's taking a role that she was never prepared to take, or she didn't have enough time to develop into those responsibilities. So to that, I really enjoyed that kind of vibe we're going with. But I understand it's all a big world out there, and it's gonna be intercepted differently by different people. So at the end, we have this interesting CGI animal alien, which does look more like a dog in this version than the animated version. You watch the animated film and you're like, there's no way anybody could see that as a dog. But then you see this fuzzy guy running around and he does dog-like characteristics. And you're like, you know what? We are that dumb. Hawaii is that sparse. And maybe people wouldn't notice. So, good moments, a couple moments like this where the whole audience was giggling. It is a Disney movie. The emotions are pretty light and happy. For the actress's part, Lilo, I feel like it was one of those productions where it took her a second to warm up to the rest of the cast, namely Nami. But by the end of the film, it does feel like we do get closer to each other, which works in benefit to the movies of this two estranged sisters learning how to become a family again. So, is it bad? It's the best of the worst, which is this animated CGI, whatever you want to call it, films. You know what I'm talking about. But that's not saying much, right? What does say much is that as obtuse as this story is, as weird and as shitty of a start that it had, being created in the darkness only to be revealed when it was completely finished, it has shown the test of time. There is something in the vibe, in the characters, in the story that has correlated with generations. Because I took that name as a inside circle thing. Like my friends thought it meant like, oh, he can do the voice. Oh, he's funny. Oh, he's this guy. But to me, it meant like, well, I mean, I've always had this alienated feel. There is a reason why the character is a space-based character. You know, you're out there, you're different, but you're learning, you're interacting with the cultures, and you're slowly becoming a part of their family. Whether that's a positive thing or something that maybe needs to be talked about is between the person and the other person. But when I started seeing this guy make his return, and I mean a return because I saw this guy at graduations, like little plushie celebrations. Like this dude came back before the film, and now that the film is here, I don't really know where we go from here except for more sequels, because there is a teaser, and you bet your ass they're gonna try to cash out on this film. So get ready, we're not done yet. Ohana means family. So with all that being said, pretty cool. I think you can go watch that with the family. There are cute moments, right? Lilo, the Lilo character, you kind of grow into it, but she also grows into the role, and you buy it by the end of it. And yeah, the addition of the new characters is an interesting one that kind of like fills out the island. It doesn't make it feel more like there are actual humans living in that island rather than just random ass characters to provide us background characters for the main characters. So that helped. That also kind of helped give us like the full representation of like the motherhood scope. You start off all angsty and nervous because your child is about to die, and you end up being like the grandma that goes like, ah, you'll be fine. So hey, all good fun stuff. If you enjoy that, if you like Disney, if you are a Lilo and Stitch fan, rejoice. There is one cameo that proves that Angel's coming, the little sandwich guy is coming, and Leroy has a future. So, with all that being said, I like to be done. But as I said, we're out of time. So, jumping over. Oh, I guess I could. That works. It doesn't work. It didn't work. Hey. Fuck. Let's go. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Going from one to the other. I don't know why the camera's lagging, but it's lagging. It's probably because we have a lot of data flowing in the background. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go check on the final film. Lilo and Stitch, very cool. Get ready. We're gonna talk about 28 Days Later. Whew. Mission Impossible. But, hey man, it's all fun and games. Just go out there, have fun, enjoy it before we get serious. So, catch you in a few. We're gonna figure this one out, and hasta la próxima. Ciao. Matane.